Hello, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Ragewood here, back with a Dragonheir video. Today we are looking at Yfeir, the Chief Challenge and Otherworld boss for Season 4. Now, this guy I think is potentially one of the easier ones, although the sort of tactics, I suppose, or the boss mechanics rather, are slightly more complicated. So we'll take a look at those quick. I am on the test server currently because I did do some sort of summon teams way back to just figure out if they were viable, and then on my main account we'll take a look at Shadow because that's what I've been using on there to reach 22 million. So boss mechanics then. Takes additional 100% damage from Necro, which we all know, and each shuriken can be used once a day. Recommended accuracy and resistance 280. Can't be controlled, just like every boss. And then for every 60 times of damage dealt or taken by the hero and his clones, he summons a clone. Okay. As the battle starts, summons a clone, and then up to 2 clones can be on the battlefield at the same time. So something to bear in mind, I guess. Now, this isn't ever something, I say isn't ever, something that's going to be very common. But for example, if this was a poison boss or a fire boss, you wouldn't want to use burn or poison because those ticks of damage count towards that 60, okay? So someone like Zarloth or Estion, as well, just something to, if you're going to use one of those, just something to bear in mind. You're going to generate those clones more often, and you'll see why those clones are somewhat annoying. By the way, I suppose, doesn't mean to say don't use Estion or things like that. I used them in my main Chief Challenge team to great effect. Just something to bear in mind, okay? So, his battle skill, so this will happen twice. He spawns a clone near the enemy with the highest attack, okay? Deals radiant damage to enemies with the clone as the center, and you taunt. So you're under control, you're not going to be able to use your abilities for a brief period, and it's specifically going after your damage dealers. That will happen twice. Now, obviously, control immunity, you could use Aladia, Philosius, something like that to cover this period. That will help make your life a little bit easier. Or, if you can, try and make sure that your highest attack damage dealer is also your tank. This is why Ozzel in particular shines massively, because he is when he goes into demon form, he's your frontline tank, gains a lot of survivability in that form, and he will also have your highest attack. Unless, when we get to the ultimate, the boss will jump to the area, inflicting attack penalty. So when that happens, all of a sudden the clones could then jump around to whomever has it at that time. He also grants attack speed up for 10 seconds and enhances basic attacks in this period. Basic attacks deal twice, heal the hero and the clones. So, lots to unpack and uncover there. Again, you can negate this by making sure you've got debuff immunity. Someone maybe like Torin, or, and I forget the epic chick's name now off the top of my head. Thea? I think it's Thea. Where is she? Yes, or someone like Thea would also help. Thea, the other nice thing about Thea is, while she won't stop the control from the battle skill, she will make your guys invisible, which will then draw everyone away. Okay. So, let's look at some sort of summon teams that I have used. I only did 4. I could have sworn I did way more, but maybe I deleted them. Who knows? Either way. So the first team that I tried was this team, sort of full legendary with Zadok. Now, it did last 4 minutes when I last used it, and if you look at the equipment plan at the time, it shows you how long ago it was, we didn't have mythic equipment, okay? Now, we can obviously change this now, we can use mythic equipment, and this will probably score way higher. But what I want to do is just draw our attention to Zadok here, alright? And why I don't particularly like using him, or summons in general, alright? I'll slow it down for you. So Zadok is a unique hero in that he gains cooldown reduction and attack up when he casts his ultimate, okay? This messes with the targeting, okay, for the clones. As you can see, he has a clone on him right now, which means he's going to be a target for the battle skill the whole time. So that additional skill haste that he is getting, you might not necessarily get full value out of it. The other reason why I don't particularly like summons is the boss's ultimate will jump to hit as many targets as it physically can. When you've got a board full of skeletons, especially ones that are back here, you'll find that he will jump over here more into your backline, sort of damaging your healers, which you don't want at all for obvious reasons. So, you know, in my mind, there's a few ways potentially we can get around this. We either move Zadok forward with your tank, whether that's Quasetia or whoever. Again, just to push them away from your healer, which in my case is Asteon. Or you just don't run him at all. Now, that's not always going to be an option for everyone. I do understand that. But it's just something to bear in mind. But, you know, Zadok in particular, I know a lot of people get will use because of the attack up. But as I say, it just makes him a prime target for the clones too, so maybe perhaps try avoiding him. Leowanis will help because she's getting rid of all the skeletons, so perhaps encouraging the boss to stay further forward, but it's not really sort of happening. But then I haven't timed everything, so as you can see, Zadok now bit the dust there. And you can see we're probably, 41 million. It's probably about right for this comp when we, eventually comes to an end there. So 2.5 minutes in, and yeah, you sort of get the gist of it, okay? So summons, as I say, in general, I don't like for that reason. Now, I did try one where, who have I swapped out? I've lost Premster, and I've put in Thea for the debuff immunity and invisibility. We actually scored less naturally because we have lost the Premster, lasting the same amount of time. Then I actually took out Quasetia. I took out Quasetia, Leowanis, and then I tried this sort of slightly more free-to-play team. Now, Ylindra I really like as a tank here because of her passive, where she just flat out takes less damage anyway. And if you put her in like a Oasis set, when she takes even less damage, or even Ancestral Protection could be an option, where again she just gets a base damage reduction. I think she is an awesome and underrated tank in these fights, so don't sleep on her if you have her. This also means you could build her with perhaps a bit more damage, less survivability, because she's got it built into her kit. I did want to try out this chick, this Mira lass just here. Again, they're all unscrolled. to see how it would work out. Kept the Premster and the Estaon. They did do 21 million, lasted 4 minutes. Now, this is one that I have done, obviously, more recently because I did bring in some mythic pieces just there to try and get that rolling. So this will easily hit 22 million if you're in an alliance and you're getting those bonuses. This last one, as you can see, this one only lasted 4 minutes. This one went the entire distance, did the same damage with Bile Vernal instead. But we've got less summon units on the field here with Bile Vernal, so protected the backline more, which allowed them to survive longer in the end. Who else do I like then for Necrosis? So obviously use what you have, alright? We're not focusing on Shadow at the moment. If you have a Zilas, use him. Just bear in mind, with all the skeletons he's going to summon, he's going to take a lot of heat, so you will need some support there. But if you're not using any other summons, then perhaps this is good because he's always going to keep the focus of the boss, or at least on the ultimate, at the top here. Irma I really love if you're using multiple units because she brings the damage reduction as well as the control immunity. So if you're a full melee team, perhaps you could try that. Deverick, I've used him previously, but the ultimate is random, so if he's got a few clones out, there's no guarantee you're going to hit the boss. Bile Vernal I love. Tia we've sort of briefly talked about. Dalk you could actually use as a range tank because he has the attack down. Also Beringer with his heal reversal on the boss ult could also be very nice as well. Could be a very strong, solid option. I personally don't own him, which is why I've never sort of played or touched him. But something to bear in mind. Ribikas we all know and love. Gulend for the attack down could also be nice. Gladros for the shield, I believe. They gain debuff immunity. But if I remember something... Yeah, so Gladros could also be, a nice support option. Kirza I love. Zalof I think's great, but again, just bear in mind with his ultimate, where it ticks 5 times, you're going to get 5 instances of the stack up. Shadow will come to, say, later on. But yeah, that is sort of a few summon teams that I have tried on the test server way back when. Easily you could get 22 million if you're doing Otherworld. Not necessarily something I would recommend if you're doing Chief Challenge and you're trying to push your score as high as possible. So I'm going to stop it there for a moment. I'm going to jump over onto the main account. I don't think I've actually run my shadow teams today, so I'll run a couple of them, show you the last one in person. So we'll be back in a second. Right, welcome back. We have cleared all of the red dots. We've run our vortex. We've done all of that. So we can now take a look at shadow, but also just some sort of other options now. I have 3 shadow teams that I'm running, okay. My Ozzel is Inspired 1. I do not have his artifact, which is why he is inspired, okay. The egg is way better than his personal artifact for him, so that's why he's I1. I have 2 people just ungeared. Estella doesn't have a off rune either. It's literally just Corsetio and Ozzel here that's doing my damage for me. I then have a squad using Chitta and Daphne. Again, mine is I2. If yours is not, it's not the end of the world. And I've just got you 2 here just to fill numbers. And then I have Tatoth and Taldi. Now, all of these will do 22 million, that's fine. For those of you that are watching for Chief Challenge, I want to show you my team for Chief Challenge and how it did, okay? So if I just sort of bring this over. So this is the team I use for Chief Challenge. I use, obviously it's cropped a little bit there, Zaloth, Torin, Taldi, Daphne and Ozzel. And this is before, obviously, I pulled my duplicate of him. And the idea is that we're just keeping Ozzel in his demon form the entire time and just doing everything we can to keep him alive. Now, I did share that in... excuse that there. I did share that in sort of Gorax's Discord, as well as a few others, just to give people an idea and sort of help them out as much as I can. But if you don't have an Ozzel, it's not the end of the world either. You can still do very well. As you can see here, scoring over 100 million using just epics. Now, Philosia is obviously quite key in this fight. You can use Ladia instead because of the control immunity, and Perseus with the attack down. So yeah, don't necessarily panic if you don't have Ozzel for the Chief Challenge side of things. So you can still score very well. Now I'm just trying to find my positioning for my Chief Challenge team. There we are. And that's how I had them set up. So at this point, I did pull the dupe shortly after. I had these two in the corner. Torin I had right behind Ozzel, so he'd get the increased defense, but also when Torin ultimated, he'd get the debuff immunity, so he would resist the attack down, and therefore the boss and the clones would just stay on him all the entire fight. Okay. But that's not what we're here for. We're here to look at the Shadow team. So you've seen the gear for this one already. We have no aura because we just don't. And yeah, this guy will die pretty shortly. Torin will come in. And yeah, we just let the fight run from there. If I'm not mistaken, I believe that it does the required damage well within the time. So we'll just speed that up here. Lost the Dalk, that's fine. Because it's not about Dalk. We don't mind if Ozzel does get taunted here, because he's just going to be basic attacking anyway, and it doesn't matter if he base attacks the actual boss or the clones, the damage still counts. As you can see, we haven't even done half the time yet, and we have reached what we need to. Stella's going to chuck out a few heals. All of the damage is Ozzel, all 23 million. Crazy are just there for a little bit of support. Now I am going to just quit this here. Actually, maybe I don't have to, if everyone dies in a sec. Because say we've reached our 22 million, and so we don't need to worry about anything else. Is Corsettia going to bite the dust soon? Looks like perhaps she will. She'll get some heals off. And then hopefully... Is she going to bite it here? She's still going. She might get another ultimate off. Healing herself again. Corsettia is very, very tanky. There we go. This is it. There, done. Just shy of 30 million. So we will save that. As I say, all of the damage is basically Ozzel, and Estella is an even 5-star. So that is our first Necro team. Now, the only one that was a bit sketchy was the Tatoth team. Tatoth does die in it quite early, but he does enough damage just to see us through, so it doesn't matter too much. Second team, Chitter is unbooked, so we will quickly book him just to make life a bit easier. And there we go. I suppose one thing I didn't show you was the gear. So we have Chitter in the attack speed with the egg. Zarloth as our Witch's Remains. Daphne just in the gear that I had her in for... what's it called? Chi Challenge. Doesn't necessarily need the organ though, because it's mostly melee. And Irma is our defense, and just sort of helping keep Chitter alive with the damage reduction that she brings on her ultimate. Now again, this team doesn't struggle really to reach through damage thresholds. Although for some reason Daphne does love jumping into Zarloth. Ideally we'd have her jumping into Chitter, but you know, she's happy chilling, so we will leave her to do her thing. Yfeir's now bit the dust. $15 million. Chitter's now died. And then the rest of the team sees it out. There we are. So as you see, it does get a little bit sketchy in a lot of the fight, but it doesn't matter. We've reached the damage threshold. And yeah, that's all that matters, essentially. Then it won't be long. I don't think this one goes the distance. I think this one ends around, say, the 4-minute mark. But we'll keep it running. I'm obviously mistaken. This one does go the distance. 39 million there. Again, you know, you don't need to score this high. I could drop it down. Daphne's doing over half of it, so I could even remove Daphne from this fight completely and still reach what I need to reach with, you know, there's no point. And again, Irma and Chitter are only 4-star. It's just Zarloth and Daphne that are carrying. So we'll take our reward. Thank you very much. And then when it loads, we'll do the last team here. Now this is the one, I said it takes a couple of attempts to actually physically get there, if you will. But, you know, I've done it a couple times now successfully, so you know it should be okay, I believe. So we're just gonna let it play and hopefully get it done first time. But yeah, so this one does take me a couple of attempts normally. Mainly because we have the issue of the boss jumping on Tatoth, who's our main damage dealer, and that's the cause for sort of the wipe and why we don't always get the 22 million. But looks like we've done it now, no issues. especially if you've got the, I suppose the other thing as well, we've got more buffs, and our Psyche Core is now maxed, so it's probably why this one has gone a lot smoother than what it did yesterday, at least. So the other things to consider, I suppose, make sure if you can squeeze it in, you've got Chest of Radiance somewhere. Will give your team just a little bit more survivability. Obviously, it goes without saying, Witches remains, okay. And yeah, say just don't worry about, scoring millions and millions in Otherworld. You only need the 22. Obviously, I'm just going to let it run. But this is the highest scoring one. For me, going distance doing 60 million. And as you can see, if you're doing this in Chief Challenge, if you throw in Chitta or a Daphne or a Spalter, someone else, very easy to score 100 million, as I showed sort of earlier. And there we go. We're going to end it there now, guys. All right, I've captured long enough, so hopefully you've got some inspiration, some ideas for this boss fight to help you out, regardless of where you are in Season 4. Look after yourselves, take care, work hard, but as always, play harder, and I'll see you in another video soon. Cheers.